Hi, Rebecca. It's Magdalena. Um, so just jumping right in, I thoroughly enjoyed the article. I had never really heard of the phrase therapist as host, and so it was really great to kind of learn about that and what that really meant. Um, as the author was kind of speaking about that. So I apologize. I jotted down some notes. So the first thing that I noticed that her talking about the office like a home setting and kind of being cautious of what's in the office. I know that's kind of something that's said and always it's something I would consider for myself moving forward. I think it's really important to be cautious of what's in your office if you just have one chair or even two chairs or a couch, like she said. Um, if you have certain items that put you at a certain political stance or religious view, and just taking that into consideration is really significant in building the therapeutic um, relationship between you and the client, and it's something really important to take into consideration when working with somebody. Something else that first came to mind was about, the definition of hospitality, of being warm, genuine with strangers and making them feel comfortable. Um, I think that is really important when working with individuals, but also remembering that you need to assess with clients where you stand. Personally, with someone at JFS, I try to come off as warm and genuine as possible, but also with this person, he had a history of kind of rolling through women throughout his life. And so, as a young woman coming into his life, he thought I had taken a bigger liking to him in more of a personal manner than professional. And we had to talk about boundaries and things like that, and just make things very clear to him. So, I think it's important to be warm and genuine with people because clients I know sense ingenuity. But just remembering that with certain clients, you have to be a lot more strict and clear cut. A few things that I didn't kind of consider before this article was when she said that she asked clients what would have been more helpful to learn before meeting with her. Um, I think that's something I would want to incorporate in my own practice just because something such as a picture was more helpful for kids, and I'm definitely all about making the client more comfortable and having them be open to therapy, especially if it's not something that they want to be at. um, if this is like a child and it's more of a parent-led thing or something like that, just making sure to present myself as transparent as possible, as she later talks about in the article, and things like that. And so, moving on to the marketing piece, I'm starting in activity group at Jewish Family Services at my internship, and just remembering with the marketing pieces to make them aesthetically pleasing, easy to read, easy to look at, and knowing who my target audience is because our clientele is mainly older adults and individuals with disabilities. And so just remembering that while the coworkers and clients might be looking at this information, it is more directed towards the client and not to have, big, huge words, complicated, difficult to look at. Just remembering who my audience is, I think is really, really important. It was good to kind of know how she took it and to kind of implement that into my actual development of these materials. Something else I never thought of was to include client work that was done on a website or in any other marketing materials. And my first thoughts were art therapy. I'm really interested in art therapy. That's my other elective this semester. And so, for my own personal practice, including work that has been done by, children, teenagers, adults, families, and just know that the client can be more informed and see what they might do in the future, I think is really helpful for the client to feel comfortable and more safe into the therapy that they're going into. Also, it's a little random, but when she said, "Oh, my choice for a couch was, because I do a lot of parents, families, children, um, I would love to have, if this allowed, would be like flexible seating in my practice. I think it's a really great idea. I know it's being implemented a lot in schools, but having between beanbag chairs and a couch, things like that to help people feel as comfortable as they possibly can in the office, I think is a really great idea. So, as feasible as that is, I'm not sure, but I think it would be something great to consider in the future. Something else when she said she had offered like the water tea, just to again make people feel more comfortable, was I know when I go to the dentist, I get offered a comfort menu with things such as an iPad, a phone charger just so I can play on my phone, aromatherapy, things like that. And so I think that'd be really great to see if I could ever do something like that so that the client doesn't feel uncomfortable asking for, comfort items, that it's just offered to them and something that they can accept at their own leisure. Um, I don't know much about billing through insurance. Not a lot of people really talk about it. So when she said, through insurance, she has to put a disorder and being really transparent with the clients about what she puts down, why she does it. If they have any questions, feel free to talk about that. I thought was something really great and also just, again, something to consider for, my future use in clinical work. Um, I really, really highly agree and appreciated her talking about the collaboration with clients on um, referral forms or doctor's forms or insurance, things like that. I really agree that a client needs to know that they're the most significant piece of the puzzle and that they're not just someone like a piece being moved along from clinician to doctor, and that this is, a work in progress together and that their input is really, really important. And so I really agree with that collaboration. And so I think that kind of goes along with the code of ethics for informed consent, um, and how to put that into my practice at JFS and to a lot of our clients. Some of the clients we're guardians for. So I think sometimes when something is done, we might kind of let the client know, but making sure that they're fully informed of what's going on, even if they're not completely oriented to time and location and things like that. But just being more informed in what we do with our clients, especially me myself, working with someone, letting I know in a process recording, I talked about someone who I said, I don't know if he really understands his finances because JFS handles it. I think it's important, and we talked about it and, it helped him feel more secure in what we do, but just making sure that our clients feel informed, especially the ones that I work with, so they feel good in the hands that they're in. Um, and something else that I thought was really, really great to consider and is not talked about enough, was to consider the outside interaction between a clinician and a client outside of session. I know I heard a story where a man said he saw his clinician outside of session and she did not acknowledge him at all. And he said that, I wish she would have at least said hello or, waved or something like that. And so kind of talking with your clients in the very beginning of how they want to interact outside of session. If you run into someone at the grocery store, do you want me to say hello? Do you want me to not even acknowledge you? Is that your preference? And just seeing what they're the most comfortable with. A question that came up during this part was when she asked about, do you want to be introduced to my friends and family? I personally would not want, if I've said met a client at a grocery store with, my fiance, I wouldn't want to say, oh, Bill, this is my fiance. Just for safety reasons, personal reasons, I don't feel it's very professional. Um, I think if anything, you can just say, hi, hello, do you want me to say this is someone I work with, or just how they want to address that, but I don't feel an introduction to family and friends is appropriate or professional. I think it can cause a little bit of drama and then they can continue to press about your family in session. When it's not about me, it's about them and getting them through their journey. Um, Another part this made me really consider was the code of ethics for awareness and diversity, with diverse cultures, especially where Jewish family services. I probably do not know as much about the Jewish community as I should, and I also have really taken a good lead on the Richmond Jewish Care Line, and that only serve well, JFS serves any individual. The Jewish Care Line only serves those of the Jewish community, and so knowing more about a Jewish community, it really kind of sparked an interest. Like, all right, Magdalena, you need to know more. This is a significant population that you've been working with, and you know the bare minimum. But just because if I know more about their culture, they're more likely to open up. They don't see, oh, this is an intern who doesn't know what she's doing. It's more, this is an intern who has while she's not Jewish, has taken the time to learn about the culture, understand why this is important, and to take into consideration, thinking even about a recent client with a roommate. She wants someone kosher, and understanding what that means and why that's significant to her would help her feel, I think, a lot more comfortable. And so, yeah, it definitely sparked an interest to get more, to learn more about the Jewish community and their culture. And so, yeah, it was a great read, and I really enjoyed the article. So thank you so much for having us read that and reflect on it. And it was a great read. Happy holidays. Bye bye.